Sandra, how come SBS Bank's rates are so good?
Because they're owned by their customers, not greedy shareholders, so we get a better deal.
Really? Always wanted to own a bank.
Welcome to Invercargill in New Zealand's deep south, home of cycling Southland and a region rich in scenery and character. This is the SBS Bank Tour of Southland, one of the country's longest running sporting events and one of the most prestigious titles in New Zealand cycling. The list of past winners is a literal who's who of New Zealand bike racing. 18 teams will challenge themselves and each other over 7 stages and 850 kilometres across the roads of Southland, facing everything the terrain and weather can throw at them. At the end of the week, the best riders will add their names to the list of past greats. This is the 2017 SBS Bank Tour of Southland. The rain arrived, but the action didn't stop on Friday's 5th stage from Invercargill to Gore. A powerful breakaway of 9, including third-placed Michael Vink of Mike Greer Homes, pushed to a lead of more than 2 minutes, enough to put Vink into the virtual tour lead. That caught the attention of the peloton, with James Piccoli's Kia Motors Ascot Park Hotel team bringing the gap down to allow Piccoli, in the move of the 2017 Tour, to solo off the front and reel in the breakaway himself before driving them all the way to the finish line. PowerNet's Brad Evans claimed the stage, but the big prize went on the back of Piccoli, 35 seconds clear of Michael Torkler, with Vink a further 3 seconds back in third, as the Canadian wears the yellow jersey into the final day of the SBS Bank Tour of Southland.
James went a little early. I would have preferred if he had waited and gone across probably just before the hill or on the hill, but he was confident once he got the gap, he had to go, and obviously he had the lead, so it was a nervous but exciting day.
Tired this morning. It's a time trial, individual time trial, so you just gotta give it everything you got, and the legs will tell the story today. Everyone at this stage of a stage race gets pretty tired, but normally I'll get better. I'm a stage racer, so normally as the week goes on I get less tired than everyone else. So that'll help coming into today.
Every jersey, the sprint and the KOM, I think they're like 1 and 2 points separating, and in the GC, the TT definitely is going to cause a bit of an upset maybe, potentially, in the overall standings. And there's a few strong time trial riders that may bring some time back on the more climbing suited riders.
Yeah, it's been pretty tough, my first Southland tour, so it's actually my first, 8-stage tour in general, so finding it pretty tough towards the end of it, but I'm getting there. The first 2 hours, hour and a half of each race has just been full on. Peloton's not letting any breaks go, so probably expect the same today.
The time trial is just kind of a little hurdle that you've got to get through, but it's it's never easy. Still got to ride hard around there, but yeah, it's when you got to look at your priorities. In the final stage, there's a lot to race for, so saving it for that.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the stronger guys in the time trial, especially in under 23. So hope to see what I can do today. Hopefully, get the time back and some more.
Here we are in the central township of Winton, where, of course, the time trial, the race of truth, some 13 kilometres, and it's ultimately been the defining factor in some of the years of the tour.
Morgan Smith here on the starting ramp from the Aardvark Excavators team. We've seen a lot of this guy this week. He is in his 6th SBS Tour of Southland, so he knows exactly what it's about. He's been very, very aggressive. This guy's going to go a good time trial, and he'll be hoping to make up some vital seconds. The last opportunity, really, to do so.
He's a very strong rider who's been very impressive throughout the week, as is the entire Aardvark Excavators team. As we now scan our eyes onto Paul Odlin, a former national time trial champion. This guy's leading in the silver jersey category, but he's been doing a lot of work for the likes of Brad Evans in the Powernet team, and has certainly been rated as one of the top contenders for this time trial.
Classy guy, a lot of experience, refound his love for cycling. Like you said, he's missed a few of the last SBS Bank Tour of Southlands. Got a wealth of experience, beautiful style, lovely long limbs, rolling a nice gear over. And this guy's obviously a time trialling expert, but he is just super smooth. No upper body movement, no extra energy, pure power.
Let's not forget there are a lot of jerseys still up for grabs going into this final day's racing, and here is one of them for the under-23. James Fouch, of course, a man who rode in the Baby Giro earlier this year. He's been very well performed overseas, and of course was second at the Oceania Championships in 2016. He will love going up against the clock.
He's had a huge tour, and the stage into Gore yesterday was a defining moment for him too. He was unlucky not to win that stage, obviously won by Brad Evans, but another typical example of a guy who's done a lot of cycling, very experienced. This is just textbook stuff, very, very smooth, rolling a massive gear. These guys are really flying in this time trial.
There's been a lot of talk about the changing of the guard. A lot of these under-23 riders, some fantastic ones coming through here into the Tour of Southland.
And there we saw Michael Vink. Now he's out on the road. This is the defining moment in the Tour for him. If he can pull one out of the bag and he can overtake James Piccoli on the lead, he's got a 31 or 32 second gap to do. He's going to have to put everything into this time trial. He's a former multiple national champion in this discipline, and this guy is really laying it all out. This is his last gasp.
This is a guy we've seen over a short distance like this. It's only over 13 kilometres, take a minute out of some top contenders in the past. He's won the stage numerous times. He knows how to go against the clock, and he knows this particular stage well. And you're right, Doug, with the fact that he's only 30 odd seconds off the lead, this is an opportunity for him to go a lot closer and really challenge going into Gala Street this afternoon.
Michael Vink finishing very, very strongly here into the end of this time trial. He has now got an anxious wait on his hands to see what Piccoli can produce.
So Michael Torkler underway now, the second on the general classification. He's 35 seconds off the yellow jersey. But this is going to be an immense effort he's going to have to make, Doug, if he's going to try and get himself close to that yellow again.
Michael Torkler's really putting in a big effort. You can see he's in quite a lot bigger gear than the other riders we've seen come around this corner. He's out of the seat here trying to get over that gear, but his tour is really, like a lot of these other riders, hanging on this in the balance of this time trial. He is pushing a monster gear, Michael Torkler, trying to make every single bit of this road come as fast as it possibly can. He's really over it.
Yesterday, of course, he had a lot of the teams put the pressure on him, and he came into Gore with the head bowed. It was a very difficult day for him, so he's had to come back here today with the right attitude to try and keep himself well in contention here for this yellow jersey.
And the yellow jersey wearer, the final rider on the course, James Piccoli. We're expecting big things of this guy, and I'm sure the Kia Motors Ascot Park team following along behind are thinking the same. He is flying into this last corner. It is going to be an exceptionally tight race, and I'm thinking that James Piccoli is just going to give absolutely everything he possibly can in this final 300 or 400 metres of this time trial.
There was high expectations for this man coming into the time trial up against Vink, but he seems a very relaxed attitude towards it all there, keeps cool, calm and collected in the yellow jersey, as he knows he's only about 100k left of racing here from today. As he comes into the centre of Winton in central Southland here, the traditional finish of the time trial for a number of years, but Piccoli will be giving it absolute death to the very line, every second counting here, as he knows there's only that one stage remaining.
Jersey holder, as he powers to the line, just about catching his rival.
Michael Vink takes another time trial stage on the SBS Bank Tour of Southland to overtake Michael Torkler, but only gains a further 3 seconds on James Piccoli in the yellow jersey. It'll all come down to the final stage.
For For the road stage today, I mean, the team is going to do everything we can to keep yellow for sure.
Certainly not over until we get to Queen's Park, and I've been part of tours that have blown up on the last stage, so we've still got all to play for, and it's really good going to the next stage with the stage round our belts. Boys are all prepared to give it some gas and try and break the race up a wee bit and get me on the top step of the podium.
There's everything to race for in this final stage. All of the jerseys could well be changed around here depending on the results into Gala Street here this afternoon. It's only 77 kilometres, Doug, but a lot of racing still to be had.
There's a lot of history with this last stage, and we have seen the yellow jersey change hands on the back of what happens in this stage. It is certainly not going to be a procession, and all of these riders realise it is their last chance for stage victory as well. So there's a lot of desperation goes on in this last stage. This is going to be so exciting to watch.
There'll also be a lot of riders in there just hoping to get to Gala Street as quickly as possible in one piece after a huge week of racing. Over 900 kilometres. As part of that relief will be the fact that it's dry conditions by the looks of it as they head towards Invercargill, which for a lot of these riders they'll be pleased to see.
The yellow jersey you can see here tucked in, James Piccoli right in the back of that Kia Motors Ascot Park train. The Powernet boys are at the front as well. It's not often we've seen the full teams from these riders. They're really putting the acid in on the rest of the field. They'll be trying to set up Brad Evans for that stage win that he's so keen on, and this is really full gas. The Kia Motors team, though, you've got to admit, they're up the front, they're protecting their leader, and they're doing an absolute first-class job to make sure James Piccoli arrives safely in at Queen's Park.
It's exactly what you would expect to see as we start to see a bit of a stretch going on. The wind has picked up around here as the riders come off Spring Hills and head towards Orakahook, and we can see that they're gapping a few of the riders. The yellow jerseys in there. There goes the Stonewood Homes silver jersey with Paul Odlin. He'll be keen to drive it here, but there could be some key riders here missing the break.
This is always the risk you take in these last stages. Your legs are tired, you're just wanting to get the finish, you switch off momentarily, a crosswind section comes in, the Powernet boys look like they blew this to bits, there's some carnage going on at the back. James Piccoli, though, riding a very, very intelligent race. He's up the front, he's not in trouble, and he's not ever looking like he's going to be anywhere near the back.
Yes, you can see the echelon there, the way they were spread across in an angle. We haven't seen that much this week, but that wind just picking up enough to allow for the split to happen. As you said, Doug, a lot of tired legs out there as we see a fantastic aerial view of this group that's getting off the front, and it looks around 20, 21 riders. And of course, the man on the front, as he's been all week, continues to keep a very close eye on things as Vink and co start to do a bit of a surge.
Matt Zenovich again at the front. Gosh, he's been so aggressive this week, Matt Zenovich. He come in with high hopes. He'll be hoping to do something for Michael Vink, who's his teammate in behind. Michael Vink will race this stage right to the wire, and you can see back again, the yellow jersey is near the front, sitting on Michael Torkler. There's a bit of a situation where a gap could split here, but James Piccoli is riding such a heady tour, I don't think he's going to let this go too far away.
Brad Evans, the man from Powernet, has decided he needed to go with that break. He knows that Vink is trying to get himself further up in the general classification, right into that yellow jersey, so he's decided this could be the vehicle to join on with. But as they start to surge away, these guys here, surely the man in the yellow and the rest of that group won't allow them to get too far.
This is probably the most desperate element of this year's SBS Bank Tour right here, right now. Piccoli is at the back, chasing on, solo-handed, no teammates. Michael Vink's up there with Matt Zenovich, who's an Iron Man. You got Brad Evans there going for the stage win. Piccoli is fighting for his life here. This is his whole tour, pretty much in about a kilometre of road, and single-handedly, he's bridging that whole front group together again. You've got to hand it. James Piccoli is the strongest rider in this year's SBS Bank Tour.
This is what we love about this tour of Southland, where these riders give it everything right down to the wire.
The Aardvark Excavators team, we've seen them a lot this week. Here is Mike Cumming, number 94, and that's one of the Creation Signs L&M group. James Fouch, who was second into Gore yesterday, an ITM rider, and Paul Odlin from the PowerNet squad. This is breaking up at the front. This group was just too big, and Brad Evans is desperately trying to get across to this move again. They're not too far from Invercargill now. These guys are sniffing a victory. They're sniffing the end of this race, and they're really starting to ramp up their efforts. It's getting desperate.
So as we see the split opening up, it's the man in the yellow jersey, Piccoli, who's been given the job, as you would expect, on the second group to try and chase it down, to try and shut this down. This is desperation racing stuff here, Doug, to try and take this yellow jersey.
James Piccoli has become isolated, but once again, he is very calm under pressure, James Piccoli. He is just rolling along, keeping a tempo going. He's got pretty much half the group in behind him, half the group in front. This man is making a solo effort to bridge this across, and he does not actually look that too concerned about it all, Julian. Very impressive.
Gosh, if you were sitting at home here watching this and thought the tour was all over here with the yellow jersey coming into the stage, look again. He is having to fight desperately to get himself back to the front. As these boys on the front with the likes of Michael Vink, you've got Torkler involved in there as well, and they're trying to work together to try and keep a gap open on this man in the yellow. But Doug, again, he has looked for no help. He's put himself on the front and he has powered his way across.
James Piccoli is a powerhouse. The saying, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, is very, very much squarely on this guy's shoulders. He hasn't panicked. He hasn't turned around. He hasn't screamed at anyone to come through. He's just quietly gone about his work, and he's just bridged that gap to that breakaway on his own. James Piccoli is, as we've said before in this stage, the strongest rider. These guys at the front and in this front group are doing everything they can to wrestle that yellow jersey off James Piccoli's shoulders, but it just simply isn't working.
They sit up as they come round the corner in towards Myris Bush. They'll be approaching about 15 kilometres to go, and it's Vink who rolls off the front once again. They're not going to let anyone catch their breath, particularly the man in the yellow jersey here. But they'll be in shock, Doug, for this guy to get across once again. This is not the first time in the stage today.
Michael Vink, you've got to hand it to him too. What a ride he's having in the stage. He is not giving up whatsoever. And coming in here into the final aspects before we hit the park, it's one of the Aardvark riders. It could be Freienstein from the Aardvark Excavators team who's jumped off, the man from Germany, Julian. We haven't seen a lot of him at the front. He is up there on GC. He's one of those guys who's been there. Alex Ray from the Wheelworks Handcrafted Wheels team. And one of the other riders, I just can't see who that was, it's splitting up, coming up to the finishing lap round Queen's Park.
Yes, well stretched out once again. Let's not forget, a number of the riders in here are classification leaders, as Brad Evans looks around and says, well, come on, boys, you're supposed to work to get across here. If you want to be in the general classification, as a number of these guys are, they're in the top 10, but there's also a sprinkling of guys in there who've got ambitions to take the stage out, some very good sprinters, so it's going to make it an interesting mix as they enter onto Herbert Street on the back straight here of the finish into Queen's Park.
In the back of James Piccoli's mind here too will be the fact that the riders away up on this stage are actually not a threat to his overall lead. So his strategy now will be to cover Michael Vink and to make sure that Michael Vink doesn't get away and secure that yellow jersey. The stage result is really immaterial.
So coming through the finishing area for the first time, 3 laps now remaining, approximately 15k, and we have 2 riders off the front, the German Freienstein. He's joined by Brad Evans, but here's a move now by Alex Ray. This is the man who's picked up a lot of the sprint points earlier on in this stage. He's now looking to take the big one, the stage.
We've seen a lot of Alex Ray, and he's gone just at the right time. From a timing point of view, that was just textbook stuff from Alex Ray. There's a bit of indecision back here in the chasing group. You can see the Aardvark guy's not going to do anything. James Piccoli is covering Michael Vink. That's his only job he's got to do now for the final few laps. And there's a couple of chaps in this group who will be hoping that this breakaway is going to come back, because that is their stage end and their stage chance is gone.
Yes, you get the feeling this group here, they know they've got over a minute or so on the chasing peloton, so they feel a bit more relaxed about it here. They're not really too concerned by those 3 at this point in time, but it's a balancing act, Doug. There's only a few laps to do it in.
Absolutely, and this is the final chance for these chaps to come away with a stage. Brad Evans will be desperate to win another stage. His tour ended up the Coronet Peak. By his own admission, was just outclimbed by superior riders up there. Alex Ray is one of the finds. This guy's got an amazing story. Of course, missed the tour last year through serious illness. And the unknown card here is going to be Raphael Freienstein from Germany. It is just so cool to see these overseas guys coming to race this SBS Bank Tour, and they'll all be wondering how much of these guys' legs are going to be left for the sprint.
So they've placed the man from Germany firmly onto the front. Brad Evans, he's won a stage here before in Tagala Street. Can he do it again today as they power into it, these men, after 900k? Who will take the stage out? Alex Ray makes a move on the outside. Freienstein is desperate down on the inside there, and she is tight. Third umpire stuff there, but Freienstein from Germany may well have got it there. What an outstanding finish as we see the chasing bunch with Southland's Nick Kirkazoo leading them in for 4th place. But the man with his arms raised there, James Piccoli, takes out the 2017 SBS Bank Tour of Southland.
So confirmation there that Raphael Freienstein from the Aardvark team has won the final stage of this year's SBS Bank Tour.
This 61st edition, Doug, once again has thrown up some fantastic stories. It's been close racing right down to the very last.
We're waiting.
James Piccoli of Canada adds his name to the history books to be only the 4th rider from overseas to ever take out an SBS Bank Tour of Southland, while Michael Vink came close once again to miss by only a mere 35 seconds. Alex Ray, after a big effort on the last day, secures the Harcourt Sprint Ace on 43 points from Williamson 33. James Piccoli also takes home with himself the Jesco Hydraulics King of the Mountains by a mere 1 point over Logan Griffin. While Alex West got stronger throughout the tour to take out the Henderson Construction Limited Under 23. The Stonewood Homes silver jersey remained firmly on the back of Paul Odlin of Christchurch to win by over 2 minutes over Andy Hagan and Greg Taylor. Ben Robertson, in some of the early breaks of the final stage, is awarded the Southland Times Most Combative. Completing a dominant performance throughout the week, it's Kia Motors Ascot Park Hotel who secured the Wensley Cycles team classification by over 4 minutes on Aardvark Excavators and PowerNet.
It was a tough one. We were getting punched by everyone today. I mean, everyone was throwing everything they could at us, and the team did a great job to keep me in position. Taylor Youngman rode out of his mind today. I mean, this is a guy who won a stage, and he sacrificed everything he had to keep the jersey. So I'm super happy to do it for everyone, and we're gonna celebrate tonight.
Finally, last day, and we got the stage win we were waiting for so long. We had a bit of bad luck yesterday with Morgan Smith getting a puncture from the breakaway, which stayed away. So I think we deserved the stage win and finished off a good week for Aardvark.
This is one of the best tours I think I've seen again. We keep saying that year in, year out, but I really think that this year, I mean, the weather played its part, but to see a stage finish like that at the end of a 6-7 day race is absolutely amazing. And down to hundreds of seconds, so great tour. I think everybody's enjoyed it.
It's a pretty nice first trip to New Zealand, I gotta say. So we're happy.
Follow the action from this historic race with live race updates, full results and pictures at www.tourofsouthland.com.